Perfect. We can do it. I'll cue you. Dana and I are going to do the welcome and intro, and then then you can start. Hi,
everybody. Hey guys.
Hi, Jeff. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How's your week going?
Week's going good. I got a couple of events coming up. Did a roundtable on COVID and neurodiversity last week, and then next weekend I'm flying down to Fort Lauderdale for the Unicorn Children's Foundation Gala on the 26th, and then at the beginning of May I have an event down in Jacksonville. So
very exciting.
Yep.
Well, good for you. You'll have to take pictures. I'll follow you.
Yep, and I still got to make a trek out to San Diego at some point.
Definitely.
And welcome to all the parents. I see there's a lot of parents on here. Hello, my name is Rebecca. I'm the Director of Operations. And Dana Hoff, our Executive Director, is here too. And we run these lunch and learns every week. So it's great to see new names and faces. And we hope to, see if you want to turn on your cameras, we'd love to see your smiling faces. But if not, no worries. So I'll do a little intro for those of you who are new or returning and just need a little refresher. A couple Zoom rules before we start. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. You are welcome to see the other participants as well, but speaker view is the best. Sharing video is optional, like I mentioned, though I love to see, putting faces to names is really great. We are very personal here. And then please type all questions and comments into the chat. We will have a Q&A at the end of this lunch and learn with our guest speaker. So you can feel free to unmute yourself then, raise your hand virtually, or type your question into the chat box and I can read it for you. I will help moderate that at the end. But we'd love to, get as much engagement as possible. We do send out follow-ups to this lunch and learn where we'll feature comments of people that put in the chat. A quick update from Autism Tree. We've reached over 670,000 people on all of our social media channels since March of 2020, when we started tracking all of our numbers. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and our reach has just grown globally during the pandemic, which was one blessing that's come out of all of this. We have done 72 lunch and learns to date, and today is our 73rd. So we've love these. We started them during the pandemic, and we will continue to do them virtually each week or 2 or 3 times a month. So always subscribe to our YouTube channel, which I'll mention a little bit later. Since January 2022, this year, we've already coordinated 27 events with 38 coming up. So for those of you who don't know, Autism Tree does typically over 200 events a year for free for families with autism or affected by neurodiversity. And they're all free. All you have to do is RSVP via online or reaching out to our team. We have 38 coming up for the rest of the year, but we add them events every single month. So there's always something new happening. We offer 19 out of our 20 programs currently. We have 3 running in person. If you want to learn more about that, you can reach out to me. And we have 444 videos on our HBF YouTube channel that are free for our families to see and as resources. These lunch and learns are a great resource. We send to new parents all the time. So subscribe today if you haven't yet, so you can stay up to date with all of our videos. We posted 383 of those videos since March 2 years ago, which is just insane. I can't believe it's March 16th today. So that's exactly 2 years ago. So that's a thank you to all of our volunteers and our program directors and parents and professionals and mentors, parent mentors who have created these resources via videos, and we posted them on our channel. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Dana Hoff, and she'll introduce our 73rd Lunch and Learn guest speaker, Crystal Sanford.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's so nice to be here with everyone. I hope everyone is feeling better and better as things are hopefully opening up. And I know Jeff said he's doing some traveling. I'm flying out early tomorrow morning and won't be back till the end of the month. And I just wanted to share a few things with you. And while I'm doing that, I want to ask Rebecca, be ready to pull up a video of Nova. Can you do that for me in a minute?
Yes.
Okay. So just a few things I wanted to share with you. I want to thank Rebecca so much for working tirelessly. I feel very blessed by our working relationship, and the dedication and the heartbeat that she has is something that really keeps me going every day. And I just want to give her a lot of gratitude today. The new office that she found for Autism Tree after looking extensively is honestly fantastic. I can't wait for some of you to come and visit us there. It is a small executive suite, so it's mainly for Rebecca and her assistant, her new assistant who's working full-time, who is running our programs now. Lupe is on her 3rd week and doing a fantastic job. We're so excited to have her on our team. It's really a workspace for them to just do everything we do to run the foundation every day. But within the new office is just this incredible outdoor space that is stunningly beautiful in La Jolla that we can use and rent for an affordable price for anything we want to do, which we're getting back to doing in-person events. And Jeff, we're looking forward to having you get involved and come out to those. We're just right now, what we're doing is we're working tirelessly on our annual meeting where we bring all of the program managers who run our programs together. We do it once a year, and it's going to be Tuesday, April 5th. And it's a lot of work for us, but we love it. We love to bring our team together once a year to share all they did last year and their goals this year. And normally we bring together all of our donors and do a huge thank you party, which is over 100 people, but it's a lot. Normally it takes us a month to do that. And with moving into a new office and having a new full-time employee that Rebecca's training, it's just a lot. So the beautiful thing that Rebecca and I have been doing, and you might notice if you watched our posts every day, is we are going out and really connecting with right now all of our board members. We just had a fantastic Q1 board meeting last night, going out and connecting in person and pumping up each board member, program manager, and thanking them. And we're start doing that to our donors. And we're just really getting centered on connecting, because the last 2 years we've missed everybody so much. We've missed our Autism Tree family. So I want to just keep reiterating each lunch and learn that is my focus as the executive director overseeing Autism Tree, is to get back to the center of our why. And that's why I want to share this video with you. Rebecca and I went to Escondido. I really hadn't been up in the hills there before. It was beautiful. And we were there to thank a father who is a new dad. Absolutely. I always fall in love with our every new family, and this is no exception. I know you guys will too when you see this video. He is a new dad, and he built a website for us, our Autism Tree website. And he didn't charge Autism Tree for it. And we went to thank him and talk to him and meet his little girl. This video is what he does with this little girl every day. What she's saying is their mantra. And you might not understand her, but she's saying, I am beautiful, I am brave, I am smart, and I am kind. And then she yells her name, Nova. And I hope this lights you up the way I'm watching this every day now, because I just fall in love with, this is our why. I hope I will just take a couple seconds to watch it.
I am brave. I am smart. I am kind. I am Nova. Yeah. Yes. Let's go.
I just love that video so much. It's just everything. That is the energy we want to help our families have for their kids. That's the energy we have for everyone that we are trying to keep moving forward together. And I just am really looking forward. Crystal, I never think there's an accident as to why a certain speaker comes on a certain date. It's like no accident. And so I really haven't gotten to know Crystal yet. We're after the Lunch and Learn, I'm going on her podcast. So I try to be a little extra dressed up today, Crystal, coming on your podcast after this. Garrett Hoff, my son, did her podcast. Was it last week, Crystal?
Yes, it was phenomenal. I can't wait to release that episode. He
absolutely had a blast doing it with you and was very honored. And he didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't tell him because I didn't want to steal his thunder. But I'm really excited to even learn with you more about Crystal, because I don't even know all she does. Crystal, you've written a book recently, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we released it around mid-January.
Yes. So you're gonna be telling us about that too. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Well, normally I introduce each speaker as part of the ATPF family, and what's on my heart to do with you today is just say, I hope you will be okay that I'm going to be learning along with everyone else about you. But everybody that comes on, it's because I feel your heart. And I loved talking to you on the phone the other day. And I just honestly want you to know, well, I'm welcoming you into the Autism Tree family. Everything we do is long-term. We don't do anything transactional at Autism Tree. So big hugs, and I'm looking forward to learning with everybody from you today. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's definitely my pleasure. You guys have been such a huge part of our life and my own family's life for many years. So it just was an honor when you guys reached out to ask me to be a guest.
Well, Crystal, before you start, and I have a little special something that I put together, some slides of pictures that I found of you and your family, and I want to be able to share it. So thanks everyone for your patience. I just got to open it back up. It was so sweet going through, the memories that I've been with Autism Tree for about 5 years, and Crystal and her daughters are very active in our NCL, which stands for the National Charity League Girls Mentor Program, and our Bridge to the Beach program. So this is just a quick, a tiny little slide, a snapshot of just a few of the pictures that I found of Crystal in our community. She's attended our neuroscience conference over the years. She's been an amazing parent mentor night. This one in the middle is when she did an inspiration for our families at our old office in Point Loma, and which we do parent mentor nights virtually now, and are excited to continue those in person, hopefully at our new office outdoors. And then at our National Charity League Girls Mentor Program, Mother-Daughter Tea in 2019, the year before COVID. So her darling daughters, who are a few years older now.
It's amazing. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Crystal, oh my gosh, Rebecca, thank you for sharing that. Crystal, I want you to know, I feel bad. I need to know you better. It's so unlike me, but in living on the East Coast for 2 years and then having COVID for 2 years, I love that photo of you and your daughters. And I'm actually flying to the East Coast to work on the neuroscience conference. And I want to take this moment to say, I welcome, as Rebecca does too, and Jeff is always on our committee, and we welcome you to get involved in our neuroscience committee. We always have a Living Autistically panel. Jeff has been on that, and he helps keep making sure that we're doing a great job of bringing forth, new people in the community of all ages. Our youngest person on the Living Autistically panel has been 9 years old, and our oldest one has been 69. So it's really just about, if that's something that either of your daughters would want to do, we absolutely welcome it. We just want to shine the light on people on the autism spectrum that want to share their story or want to talk about what they're passionate about. And I'm passionate about the conference. I want to share with everyone one last thing, Crystal, is that we got our Uctv numbers yesterday from our first ever global neuroscience conference. We've had over 64,000 views now. Dr. Motri came on our board meeting last night. it's super impressive from his point as our chairman. He said there's speakers that sometimes they're lucky to get, a couple thousand views. And so they're tracking it since last year, and that was up to February, and it's over 64,000 views. So I welcome you guys. We're just in the early planning stages. I'm working with some of our partners on the East Coast for the conference this year. And I just want you to know I value everyone on here. And I loved seeing the pictures of you and your family, Crystal. Thank you for sharing that history, Rebecca.
Oh, I know.
I'm already learning, Crystal.
Oh, amazing. I
Thank
know. It's so, oh my gosh. Yeah, to see that, it's like, I need to have my tissue ready.
Yeah, me too. I love those photos so much. And I felt bad that I didn't realize that I don't know if we talked at a past neuroscience conference because it's been so long, but I love seeing that photo.
Oh, yeah, it's precious. Every year, I always look forward to that conference specifically. I remember I would take off work when I was working full time so I could attend that because it was just so valuable to be able to sit and hear from experts in the field, who are, doing the work, and companies that were hiring, autistic individuals, and then the individuals themselves. It was just so much value that you guys bring with that conference. So I always promote it and tell people about it and attend myself.
Thank you. You just honestly blessed me because that's what I'm really honestly centering myself back onto is the families, the ATPF family as a whole, and the neuroscience conference. So honestly, that really blessed me, you telling me that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful resource.
So Crystal, tell us a little bit more about you and when you started Autism Tree, kind of what it means to you, and introduce yourself to our community.
Sure, I will. Should I share a PowerPoint or no?
Feel free.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I will try to share my screen. And now I need to move everything kind of around. You can see everybody still. And
Perfect.
is that good?
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So I didn't add specifically Autism Tree here, so I will go back to that. So I have a daughter. Well, I'll say here, this is me, of course, a little bit about me. So I'm an autism mom, and my daughter was identified to be on the spectrum at age 3.5. So that was in 2014. And I want to say probably maybe a year or two later is where we discovered Autism Tree. And just with researching, right, like so many of us as families, we just are, Googling everything, looking for resources. And I happened upon Autism Tree, and man, it was just like a godsend for us to be able to have groups where, we could engage, where there were other parents who understood our story. I remember taking her to the play groups when they had the music therapy, the little fun groups on Saturdays, and we've just grown together. So I have two kiddos. One, my oldest is the one on the spectrum, and my youngest is her sibling warrior. So we just do everything together there as a family, which is a part of what Autism Tree is about, which I also love, is that everybody in the family can have a space there. So we've grown with ATPF. We've engaged, like I said, I've gone to the neuroscience conference probably 3 or 4 times now. My daughters, we've all engaged in all the different things through the National Charity League, the summer Bridge to the Beach. They look forward to that every summer, and being able to engage with the junior lifeguards. So, we've just been kind of tracking along, and now my daughter is 11 and on the verge of middle school, which is just amazing, insane. I can't believe it. So that is really the heart of what I do, which has led me to what I do professionally as well. So I'm also personally a special needs sibling. I've served as a speech language pathologist now in that field for over 20 years throughout Los Angeles County and then San Diego County starting in 2004. So little did I know that I would myself be the parent of a child on the autism spectrum who would need speech language services and all the good things. So soon after Sophia was identified on the spectrum, I knew I wanted to start a practice, some type of a business. I thought it would be speech therapy, but it really turned more into special education advocacy. So that's what I do. And I opened that business in 2016, but now I'm coming full circle. And this year we are going to start an arm where we are offering speech language pathology and social groups. So wanting to be an all-encompassing company that can support autism families well. And that's a younger picture of them as well. So, our goal really is to empower fellow families. I've lived it as a professional on school teams. And so I do understand that perspective, but I do understand the perspective of parents and how frustrating it can feel and overwhelming. And so we do our best to help bridge the gap between home and schools and help families to have a seat at the table, to help their voice to be heard when it comes to their child's education. And newly, we have new team members that I have on my team now. So we have other advocates and an administrative assistant who have joined our team. So we've grown from 1 to 4. And we offer Iep Coaching, trainings that I do offer through the San Diego Regional Center around IEPs, which is at no cost to families, and other services. And we have a conference that's coming up just for autism families on April 9th. And we're going to have some great speakers, including a young adult who is thriving on the autism spectrum, Ayana Davis. So that's just a little bit about who I am and what I do. And my goal is just always, in whatever capacity, to be able to support fellow families in whatever stage they are in the journey.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Crystal. Is there anything, there's so much to unpack there. I mean, congratulations on, your team and your growing business, especially during this time. I'd love to have you share a little bit about kind of what you have, how you have adjusted during the pandemic with your girls, how you kind of hit your stride to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, like for all of us, it has been a challenge, right? And I think so many of us, we've had to learn, what the buzzword, how to pivot and how to, do life well, given so many variables, right? Something is here today, something changes tomorrow. We're masked today, we're not, we can go outside, we can't, but I think what has helped me and my family has been autism. And I'm going to say that, right? Because we do so much in teaching our kiddos that flexibility, because it is the nature to be more, rigid and really thriving in structure. And so we've done so much with our daughter in teaching her how to live beyond that. As much as that is a help and a benefit to her, we've also wanted her to know that she can be okay when things aren't the same. And so I think because we had that kind of a focus, it helped us in having to navigate life changes with COVID. So, I learned something early on with my daughter in therapy. She had a therapist and she came up with this phrase, different ways on different days. And we use that phrase still. I mean, it's starting from the age 3 until now. So we're talking 8 years we've been using that. So we would literally drive home from therapy a different way. We'll eat something different. She has to sit in a different chair because and help her feel okay about those kinds of changes. And so we had to do the same kind of discussions during COVID. Wow, no, we can't go outside, but we can do a Zoom, and so again, it's different today than it was yesterday, and that's okay. So I think just having that kind of a focus in our family anyway helped it to be a little bit easier when it came to COVID. So, we shifted to Zoom for a lot of things. Now we are gradually moving out and doing some things in person, which has been nice. We were able to access a social skills group by Zoom during COVID that we just ended. So, that was a wonderful resource. And we've learned to do a lot of things at home in the backyard, and so, the play, and because we have 2 girls, we were facilitating the play just between the 2 of them, and how to explore and be creative. So it hasn't been hard. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but we've made the best of it. We've made it work.
Mhm. I love that. Different ways and different days. I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Tell us more about your book, because that's something you wrote just this last year, right?
I did, and you know what? That's one slide that was not in there, but I do happen to have a cheesy copy here. So it's Sour Lemons and Prickly Pears: Finding Good in Unexpected Places. And so this is a book that you can find on Amazon. It's a quick read. It's less than 75 pages. I say that it is a small but powerful book to help inspire anyone along their journey. It's been something that's been in my heart for years. And during COVID, I realized, okay, now is the time to do things that have been in our heart. And there was time, life had slowed down enough that I could. So it took about a little bit longer than I expected. It took us about 6 to 8 months to get the book out, but now it's out, and it's just really a short story about a season of my life where we experienced a lot of challenges, during a very short period. Within 6 months of each other, my daughter was identified with autism, and I was diagnosed with cancer, and my father died, all within 6 months of each other in 2014. And so to say that I was overwhelmed is an understatement, but I have survived, right? Like, I've learned in the midst of that, we are, as humans, able to do way more than we even realize. And that when life gets hard, there are ways to center yourself and to find a place of hope still. And I was able to come out of those years still with hope. And so I have always known I wanted to write a little story about that. And so that's what I did. So that's what the story is about.
Wow, that's so powerful. I mean, one of the things that I find has been really helpful during the pandemic, and that we've brought about during these lunch and learns, is that we don't shy away from the hard topics and talking about the hard times. And kind of reminds me of like the books like Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul, and like
Yes.
those,
Yeah.
just knowing, I think it's so easy to get stuck in all the negative, challenges that we're going through, and just reading about other people's challenges just makes you feel less alone, and just the hope and the compassion for yourself just naturally come out of that. So I encourage everybody to go read Crystal's book. And I'd love to hear more about your podcast too. Is that something that you thought about in tandem with the book, or how did that come about?
So and thank you for that. So the book is something that came after the podcast. So during COVID, I had done, some episodes on other people's podcasts, and it was about October of 2020 when I realized, I think I could do this. Like, I think I could have my own podcast, because I think that there's some issues I'd like to share about and support families with. So I decided to find out how that worked, and I started a podcast in November of 2020, and it was Thriving Special Families, and you can still find that on wherever you find your podcast. So we had 2 seasons there where we interviewed, and our theme was offering insight, humor, and hope along the special needs parenting journey. So, I interviewed special education attorneys. I interviewed a comedian who had been a social worker and who dealt with families in that capacity, who turned and changed her life and became a comedian. And so, and everybody in between, the autism dietitian. I just got to meet a lot of wonderful people that had anything to do with the life of a parent who's a parent, someone, a child with unique needs. And so, that was awesome. I got to meet some great individuals, adults on the spectrum as well. J.R. Reed, phenomenal guy, who is doing great work as well. I met Ayanna Davis, another young adult on the spectrum doing great things. And so it was wonderful to be able to put that out there as a resource for families, because sometimes you don't have time to sit and read a book, but maybe you can listen to a podcast, right? So I just always want to be wherever parents are, however they can access information. And it's at no cost. Like, that was just a win-win. So we did the 2 episodes of Thriving Special Families, and actually next month, in honor of autism, not just awareness, right, but celebration month, however we want to refer to that, I'm releasing a new podcast, first season of Thriving Autism Families, where our focus will be 100% on autism families. And so that is where Garrett will be a guest. We have Dana, who will be there as well. We've had just some wonderful people, financial planners who specialize with families, all the way through, OTs, a little bit of everything. So, look for that, those episodes to be released. We're going to release the entire season at once towards the end of April.
Wow, exciting. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I never dreamed. It's not what I got a degree in, right, at all. But I really enjoy people, and I really value everyone's story. I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and I'm just happy to be an outlet to be able to share that.
Mhm. Well, I think you're the perfect person to have on our neuroscience conference committee as well, because that's, just every day I'm just so shocked by our community and just blown away about how many doors are open just from everyone who's involved. And that's so amazing. I had one of our parents in the chat. She said she's really interested in the social groups for her kids. So obviously at Autism Tree, there's 20 different programs, and we have, serve all ages. So Marone, I think of who it is. Please check out our website, reach out to me. But Crystal, you also mentioned that you are looking to open new social groups and offer speech and language pathology to people. So why don't you tell us more about that, of the social groups that you're looking to open?
Right. So, as if I don't have other things going on, I don't know, but I'm busy. But you know what? The old saying that necessity is the mother of invention. And so I have lived that a lot. So when I have a need for something, I will often, if I can't find it, I'll make it up. So that's kind of where the podcast came from. I wanted to hear more about these different topics. So I said, let's make a podcast and get these people together. So in this case, I was looking for social groups for my daughter, who has kind of aged out of the existing resources, and it's been hard to find something for, that 9 to 13 tween group on the spectrum, kiddos who need to now kind of take what they've learned to the next level, right? So many of our kiddos, they've had therapy, they've had groups and stuff, but what is life going to look like? What are the social demands going to look like as they shift now into middle school and that upper elementary, middle school time? So that is what I decided to start offering. So we're going to be opening up actually a facility here near Mission Valley, and that will be through the new Sanford Speech and Learning Center. You heard it first here. And so we'll be opening up those in-person social groups also starting in April.
Wow, that's so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for announcing that.
I know, it's first place to put it out there, but again, saw a need. I know I needed it for my kiddo. I've talked with other families who said the same thing, that with COVID, you talked about COVID, it's been hard because our kiddos need that practice and a lot of that it's not the same in Zoom. You almost kind of need that in person, especially when you're talking about social cues and nuances, the things that go around, interacting with other humans and picking up on things. Some of that you can't replace by being in person. So now that things have kind of opened up and it is safe enough to do so, we decided that we would try to offer these in-person groups. So for that tween tween on the spectrum, that will be a group there.
That's wonderful. Karen. Oh, Karen, right. Hi, Karen. Karen's one of our, she's our director of ministry, for those of you who don't know. And she basically, no matter what your religion is, if you're going through a hard time and you need somebody to pray with you or just to talk to, Karen is the one that we call. And it just drops everything. And she's served definitely over 700 families for over the years at Autism Tree. She's been here since the beginning. Karen says, Crystal, you're a beautiful woman whose light shines brightly. Thank you for sharing today. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you for all you do in serving ATPF families as well. So that definitely that means a lot. Thank you.
Crystal, if you're available on Tuesday, April 5th, you could come to our program managers meeting and sit with Karen.
Oh, that would be an honor. Oh my goodness. I'll check my schedule.
I think that would be really special. You know, we've been working with our board on like our 5 pillars, and one of them that came up is organic. And I love this because this is it right here. This is how it works. Karen said that, and I'm like, oh, this could be this. We could completely plant. The seed was planted, and we could have it grow at the program managers meeting. You guys being together.
Oh, I love that. I love that, and what an honor. Yeah, thank you. I will totally check my schedule and let you know, because that would be great.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be. It's going to be the first program managers meeting where we have a board member paired with our different programs too.
Oh.
So we're doing some new things, and I just think it's got me thinking about, oh, that would make sense to me.
Oh, wonderful. I'd love to be a part of something new and exciting, and you guys are always doing great things. So yeah, I'd be honored.
Thanks,
Thank
Crystal.
you. We'll get you all the info.
I have one last question before I want to open it up to anybody else who has questions for Crystal. I picked up that you are a special needs sibling as well. Are you open to share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So now you're going to date me, right? Because I'm older than I think I realize sometimes. But that being said, so I have a sibling who is now 57. And she's still a regional center client. And I tell my parents all the time, hey, get connected with regional center. They carry and support your kiddos for the rest of their lives, you know? So my mom is still alive, my sister, and so my mom is still, a part, and my sister's still a part of regional center. So it's been such a wonderful resource, especially as they made a transition from Los Angeles, where I am born and raised. When they moved to San Diego, the regional center, they were able to connect and get my sister in a program and all the wonderful things. So, but my sister is identified with what would now be referred to as intellectual disability. In her time, it was mental retardation. And she was educated in a time, she was born in 1965. So this is 10 years before federal law IDEA. So she went to a separate school and received education. My mom, a young mom, didn't know what was going on with her child. And so when she enrolled her child, my sister, in the public school system, they said, oh, no, there is a school for her and there are resources for her. And so, which for better or for worse, that was a great opportunity. My sister went through that program, and that was fine. She did begin, I think she went into more of an integrated program, but it wasn't until like high school. But living on the other side of that as a sibling of someone who was also older, first of all, so she's 10 years older than me, and with intellectual disabilities, so not functioning on the level, of course, of her age, it was challenging. And I grew up in a time in a family where, and I don't know if anybody can get this reference, we don't talk about Bruno. Like, if you know anything about the movie, right? So like, we don't talk about things, right? That's kind of, old school. That's kind of the atmosphere of what kind of I experienced growing up. So we never talked about like my sister's challenges. She was who she was, and we loved her and we accepted her, but we didn't talk about how we felt about that. what did that mean as a sibling? Like, what do I say to like my friends, especially as I got older? Like that was all something I just had to kind of figure out on my own. And so, you know, for better or for worse, I think it's really one of the things that actually helped to shape who I was and led me in the field of actually finding out about speech pathology, and I became a speech pathologist because I think I had that tender heart toward people who had unique needs. But having that experience, it has really encouraged me and made me want to be very purposeful in how we address my daughter, her uniqueness in our family. And so early as our youngest child could say something about, hey, what's going on with my sister, we started putting words to that. And we have just always wanted to have that open dialogue because I didn't want her to be in a space where we don't talk about, Bruno, we don't talk about your sister or her challenges, you know? So we have always said in our home that, you know, everybody's got strengths and challenges, you know, mommy wears glasses because I can't see well. And so your sister, you know, struggles with loud sounds. And as she got older, as my younger daughter got older, we and my daughter on the spectrum, we called it autism. And so it was just very matter of fact. We've always been very open about it. And I think that has helped them have a better relationship. And I think it's also helped, you know, for my younger daughter kind of navigate those feelings around, you know, being a special needs sibling. And I think it's really helped to empower my oldest daughter, Sophia, because she will tell anybody, I have autism and I have ADHD. And she's very proud of that. And she believes she, you know, she's got some strengths in regards to that. And she knows what her challenges are. And she's very willing to tell anybody about that. And so I feel like that comes from us kind of having that open dialogue in the home. So that's a long-winded answer to your question.
That was
Crystal, if Rebecca, if you don't mind, I want to share something with Crystal and everybody. Is I think that is incredibly powerful. And I don't know why I can't come up on the screen, Rebecca. I only see you.
I can spotlight you.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to be meeting on Friday, Crystal, with Dr. Vivante, who's done a lunch and learn, been involved in the conference. You might be aware of him or not. When I met him, I didn't know that he had two adult brothers with autism that live in a group home in Tuscany. He's from Italy. And he's a researcher at Drexel University in Pennsylvania. I saw him on a telethon. The Eagles football team raises a tremendous amount of money for autism, and it's a huge part of Philadelphia. If you watch TV at all when you're living in Pennsylvania, Eagles autism is on constant. And I didn't realize right away, but the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles has a brother with autism he loves dearly. So there's the origin. Yeah. But Dr. Vivante gets funding from that at Drexel University. And the reason I'm sharing it with you is I'm flying there and I'm seeing them Friday night. And I've been working on having with Dr. Motri a siblings panel at the neuroscience conference. We've never done that before. We've been working on it about 3 years, to be honest, or maybe longer. We've had Walter Susskind on here twice. I know, Jeff, you've interacted with both Walter and Dr. Vivante, but Walter Susskind is a sibling who has dedicated like his passion and life to it. He started Sib Strong. So I've been working with him to moderate the panel. And I finally had, I think, a Zoom call or audio between Dr. Vivante and him, but I'm actually having dinner with Dr. Vivante and his wife about this in Philadelphia on Friday, because his wife is a researcher at University of Penn. They're both autism researchers. They're both siblings. Oh. And I learned all this very organically and slowly. And I asked them when I first met them together and found out they both were siblings and had siblings with autism, if they would ever get their siblings together, because Dr. Vivante's twin brothers are in Tuscany, Italy in a group home, and his wife's from Australia, so her siblings in Australia, and they just laughed. They're like, no, that won't happen. So I've always had a really big heart for siblings, even though I only have my son Garrett, who, like your daughter, which really touched me. Every single thing you just said touched me deeply about, and we've been working very hard on this topic, and wanting to make it part of the neuroscience conference, because it's so important. But in the 19 years that we've been doing Autism Tree, everyone around me, even when I was just trying to start the foundation and trying to help Garrett, would go, but what are we going to do for the siblings? What are we going to do for the siblings? Even when we started the foundation with Monday Night Football with Doug Flutie, we did a whole separate thing for the siblings. It was like a siblings essay competition and then their art. And I feel like I'm so glad everyone around me was always advocating for siblings. And I think it's, like I said, I think it's very organic and no accident. And I love sharing it with everyone on the Lunch and Learn. The sibling panel at the neuroscience conference has always been something that's deeply important to us, and it's going to happen this year. And so maybe, you know, Crystal, if it's meant to be and you want to be part of it, I just was so, I just was so happy and touched by everything you just said, just to know this part of you, and how important it is. Because, you know, Walt is really, he's very verbal about the responsibility he feels for his brother Owen, but he's also so loving towards him. It's not like he's bitter. He's full of love, but it's so much responsibility. And so I just thank you for sharing that. And I hope it can be part of our conference this year. I think it would be great to have you on the panel with Dr. Vivante and Dr. His wife's name is, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Is it Rebecca? Is it Nesk? Heather Nesk? Yeah. So be really fun to have you on that panel, Crystal. Just, I love your passion.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for these wonderful potential opportunities beyond what I can imagine, you know, because you just live life. You just live life and you are who you are and you're just doing what you feel is right in your heart. And you don't think about it until somebody else talks about it or points it out. Yeah, I'd be very happy.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Just what was it like having Garrett on your podcast? Did that come forward from him? I'm just curious what your experience was with him, because he's I feel like you would see that in him.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing. He was very, genuine, and
But he's proud of his autism. That's what I want to say.
Well, he is, and he was, really, really supportive. And I feel like a lot of young adults, especially those, like high school-ish and early, 20s, are going to really appreciate his interview because, he's honest, and I really love how he could talk about how anyone on the spectrum as young adults can thrive. And his focus is going to be, it was on employment and trying to navigate that as being an autistic individual. But he was able to speak to, the person who maybe they're going to be just cleaning tables, or maybe they're going to be, like him, going to law school and everything in between, because we know of autism being a spectrum. And he was able to really speak to and provide some hope and some tips to everyone and on the spectrum. So I thought that was really cool. So I'm excited. It was a great interview. It was so nice to get and told him this. I said, I remember you when you were little, when we first started going to Autism Tree, and I would see the pictures, of him on the wall, and to see where he is now, it's just amazing. And it really is a testimony to you, Dana, and the work that you and your husband have done.
Well, I think I brought it up because, when you look at the whole of Autism Tree and what we're trying to do, this is what we're trying to do. Just everything you just said, you nailed it. Like we're trying to help everyone on the spectrum, his voices be heard and doors open. And that's why, like you were saying, we're having all these connections here happening right now. And I'm not trying to not doing why it's happening, because I want everyone to see together on this Lunch and Learn, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
We have a question from one of the parents who has her hands raised. Amy, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, yes, thank you very much. And Crystal, speaking on that to young adults, my daughter, I actually spoke to you last week regarding an IEP. My daughter was newly diagnosed 2 years ago, right after COVID happened. So, and she is having quite a bit of struggles right now. It's very, very hard. But you talked about voicing that. I know that well. Don't talk about Bruno. Grew up in the same type of family.
Right. Yeah.
I know that all too well. So my daughter is 17, And how would you suggest we navigate that whole, because she's 17, she'll be a senior this coming fall. And of course, my husband's family is like, okay, where is she going to college? What is she doing? She's not even close to that yet. And she doesn't want them to know she's on the spectrum, because she feels like they already treat her weird because she's trying to figure this out. We're trying to help her figure this out. And it's been really hard because of COVID.
Yeah.
So how, like, she gets frustrated. She's like, I don't know what to tell them. And I try to, switch the subject when they start asking, oh, where is she going to college? What is she going to do? And it's huge pressure.
I think there's a lot of pressure just for kids anyway, right now,
Right.
and at this age group, especially. I worked, like I said, over 20 years in this field, and I spent 4 years in high school, and I loved that time because I felt really meaningful. That's a really tough time of life, 9th through 12th grade, trying to figure out life and then figure out with these expectations, what you're going to do, what you're going to be. I think for all kids, I think it's a challenge. I'm a real big proponent of like trade schools and community colleges, and we're not doing enough to try to encourage kids to get in a trade. I mean, do you know what plumbers cost right now? Seriously, like trades, you can be super successful in a trade beyond what somebody like us who still has college debt can be. You know what I mean? So I think we don't push that enough, and it would allow kids to be more hands-on and who are, need to use those skills. Maybe they can also work a little bit more independently if they struggle with, social and groups and navigating, colleagues and working in an office environment. So, I mean, I think we don't push that enough. And I think that is something that is, we should be considering more for all of our kiddos, but especially our kiddos who have some unique needs and who are neurodiverse. When it comes to navigating like family issues, when it comes to this, something I talk about in schools in the advocacy business is ability awareness training. And we did this early on for my daughter when she was in first grade, because we had some hiccups and some kids were not being very nice. So I, of course, put on my mama pants and my speech therapy pants, and we designed ability awareness training for the entire first grade. And the teachers read books, like there's a great kids book by Temple Grandin, and we talked about neurodiversity and what that looks like, and then we brought it right on home. And right here in our class, boys and girls, we have kids whose brains work differently, like Sophia. And when the kids heard that, and because they all knew something was going on with her, right? Let's just put a name to it. I'm very big about that. Let's not talk about the elephant in the room. So when we put the name on, instead of it was autism and explained it, the kids it was a 360. Everybody wanted to be her friend. Everybody wanted to help her. We initiated where there was, like Sophia's special friend at lunch, and everybody got 1 week to be that, and they would line up to be that person. So I'm a big proponent of talking about it, of putting it out there, of doing some level of ability awareness training, sometimes in your very own family, to kind of demystify autism and demystify those challenges. And I think once people know, then they're not making these, weird thoughts or, hypotheses, and we're kind of all on the same page, and then we can start seeing some movement and seeing some empathy develop. So potentially maybe an outside person coming in and helping support your family with that, or books, around it, and helping your daughter to develop a sense of she's okay with who she is in her own skin. And because she's going to need to be able to stand that, be it her family or whomever, as she gets older. So whatever, resources or tools or counseling that you can get to help her access that would be helpful too. And I'd be happy to talk to her.
Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, this is definitely a hot topic. We have 2 people in the chat who said, I would love to know more about the process of how to explain and give words to that for children. It's something we struggle with as a family. And then Rosa said, same here, trouble educating my child as to her diagnosis while trying to also be encouraging and trauma informed.
Yeah.
Is there anything more you want to add to that?
Yeah. I'm sorry. it's tough, right? In the books that I've read, there's wonderful researchers out there, right? Who talk, and that's why I love the neuroscience conference, because you learn about such great researchers and what's out there. And I can't think of his name, it escapes me, but in his book where he talked about where it was Asperger's, right? He talked about Asperger's, and he talked about in his research that somewhere around the age of 8 is what he found was kind of like that magic number when it came to talking with kiddos about their uniqueness and about autism and about that kind of thing. So he said that earlier than that could be challenging for them to kind of understand that concept. And later than that could also not serve the child as well, either because they're starting to pick up on things and then they're maybe starting to develop some, really negative self-concept and those kind of things. So somewhere around 8, but sometimes that's just not possible, right? But so to do that, to balance that, right? What we did again in our family was we all have strengths and challenges, and we talk about that even to this day very openly. Like, Daddy forgot his wallet. My daughter, not my daughter on spectrum, called me on it the other day. She said, "Mommy, did you forget to turn on the oven?" And I had totally forgot to turn on the oven, and because I started doing some laundry. And I said, "You're right, I did." She's like, "That's okay. I did the same thing earlier today." I mean, just kind of making it matter of fact. We all think differently, and there is beauty in that. It makes us all very similar. Nobody is better than anybody else, but there's also gifts and strengths that we have. We celebrate those. I talked to parents about that as well, that if your kid has a unique interest, let's celebrate that. Maybe they're the expert in that. Maybe they're the math facts expert, and everybody in the class looks to them as that expert. Give the child a chance to shine with their areas of strength. That can also help to build the confidence as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's all great. We have about 4 minutes left, so I want to be mindful just of everyone's time. Jeff, you had your hand up for a little while, so I want to give you a chance to connect with Crystal. Go ahead.
Thank you. Crystal, first off, great job on your presentation and stuff. And we're kind of both in the same aspect, but and of course, for anyone who doesn't know, I actually was a special education student myself. And I've been through the process that a lot of the families on today's Lunch and Learn are experiencing. And of course, I had to overcome challenges myself, and through those challenges in special education, I became the first student in my town school district to have completed pre-K through grade 12 without coming from other towns or school districts. So that's an example of an accomplishment that a child could end up achieving later in life. And also, I put in the chat wall as well, but if you're looking for podcast guests for your podcast, I would be happy to participate. I'm trying to try to build my schedule for the month of April. And, I'd be happy to take part in that as well. And if you're also interested, I put my website in the chat, as well as the book that I contributed to that's available on Amazon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you for your transparency and sharing that. You definitely are a success story. You are where we want our kiddos to be, right? We want our kids to be able to be successful in whatever way possible, where they find joy, where they find some meaning, where they can actually kind of move through education and be learning and growing from year to year. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. I'll definitely connect with you afterward.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Crystal, I really want to give a shout out to Jeff for always being such an initiator and part of our team, our Lunch and Learn team, and beyond that, Jeff. But when Jeff comes out to San Diego to work with our team, he does an extraordinarily job just being a leader and keeping everyone moving forward. When he sees something that he thinks can improve our foundation, he's really he'll text me and Rebecca right away. And I really appreciate Jeff, and I want everyone on the Lunch and Learn to know when he's out there at our different events, he is a great resource to parents because he has lived it. So I just want to tell everyone and Jeff how much I appreciate you, Jeff. And this is the one reason we keep doing lunch and learns, because Jeff's coming in from Massachusetts. So where normally we wouldn't see each other, it's something I look forward to each week, Jeff. So thank you for that. I did want to say, I didn't realize that Todd Hoff, our chairman, is on. I don't know if you can say anything, Todd, or show your face, but I didn't know you were here, and it's really, Crystal, Todd's usually not able to make it on the call, so it's wonderful that he's here today. Thanks for being here, Todd.
Trying to get better. What a treat to listen in, you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. An honor to have you here.
Well, we're right on time. I'd love to take a group picture with everyone before we go.
If everyone wants to put their cameras on, we keep track of all of our lunch and learns. We're proud of each one.
Oh, I love it. Hi, Steph. Hi, baby. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. I'll do a countdown. If you'd like to share, your camera, you can. I'll do a screenshot. Ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese. Wonderful. Thank you so much again, Crystal. This was fabulous. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Take care, Crystal. Take care, guys.
Mhm.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye, everyone.